the hidden fear that keeps dark chosen ones from embracing themselves. There's a particular kind of soul walking this earth quiet, misunderstood, often misjudged. These are not the ones who seek the spotlight, nor do they crave external validation. They are the ones who feel everything deeply, who carry a storm behind their eyes, and who seem to know things before they're ever spoken aloud. We call them the dark chosen ones not because they are evil or wrong, but because they are born into the shadows of awareness, carrying a gift that most people would fear. And yet, they themselves live in fear, not of others, not of failure, but of their own power, of their own truth, of what would happen if they stopped hiding and started becoming. We have to understand something very clearly. Darkness is not the absence of light, but the presence of depth. These chosen ones are not here to follow the rules of the world. They are here to rewrite them from the inside out. They were never meant to blend in. They were born to disrupt, to awaken, to trigger, to transform. But this path is not easy. In fact, it's often brutal. Because while they carry a divine mission, they also carry a hidden fear that keeps them from fully stepping into it.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound spiritual lesson.
This fear isn't always loud. It doesn't scream. It whispers. It disguises itself as humility, as doubt, as overthinking. It says things like, "Who am I to speak?" Or "What if I'm wrong?" Or "What if they see who I really am and run away?" This fear is ancient. It's not even always personal, it's ancestral, it's collective, it's karmic. It's the residue of lives where power was punished, where truth led to exile, where vision led to death. And so these souls hide, not in physical caves, but in emotional ones, behind sarcasm, behind perfectionism, behind self-sabotage. They learn to dim their light to survive. But in doing so, they forget that their light was never meant to be safe. It was meant to be sacred. You might be one of them. If you've ever felt like you see too much, feel too much, know too much, and yet struggle to explain it, you're not crazy. You're tuned in. If you found yourself walking away from crowds because they drain you, it's not because you're weak. It's because you're absorbing frequencies that others are oblivious to. If you've always felt different, it's not because you're broken. It's because you're built for something most people aren't ready to understand. But here's where it gets real. The fear you carry, the one that keeps you hiding, it's not protecting you. It's imprisoning you. It's making you smaller than your soul was designed to be. And the longer you let that fear drive, the more distorted your life becomes. You start attracting situations that reflect your avoidance. You find yourself surrounded by people who don't see you because deep down you're afraid of being seen. You settle for jobs, relationships, and environments that feel safe, but they slowly kill your spirit. And all the while, your higher self is screaming, "Wake up, you were made for more." But what is this fear really? At its core, it's the fear of your own power. Because if you truly embraced who you are, the depth of your insight, the fire of your intuition, the magnitude of your presence, you would no longer fit into the world as it is. You would change relationships. You would break patterns. You would speak truth that burns illusions. And that terrifies the ego, because the ego wants comfort. It wants approval. It wants predictability. But your soul wants evolution. It wants liberation. It wants to remember. So let me ask you this, what part of yourself are you still hiding, even from you? Because until you turn and face it, until you walk into the dark room of your own subconscious and flip the light on, you will keep living half a life. Half awake, half expressed, half alive. And the world won't tell you this. It will feed your distractions. It will praise your numbness. It will reward your ability to conform. But deep down, you'll know. You'll feel the ache. You'll feel the falsehood. You'll feel the dissonance between who you are and who you pretend to be. The hidden fear is not just about being seen by others, it's about being seen by yourself, truly seen, without the masks, without the filters, without the performance. Can you look into your own eyes and say, "This is who I am," without flinching? That's the beginning of freedom. Because until you do that, you are still running, still hiding, still negotiating your worth with a world that never deserved to define it. And here's something wild. The moment you begin to embrace your shadow, the world begins to change. Not because the world is different, but because you are. You stop attracting people who drain you. You stop settling for crumbs. You stop apologizing for your depth. And instead, you start magnetizing your tribe. Your real tribe. The ones who see you, feel you, get you. You start drawing in experiences that reflect your wholeness, not your wounds. You begin to walk like you belong, not because you were accepted, but because you finally accepted yourself. But this takes courage, not the kind of courage the world teaches you, not bravado, not ego. The kind of courage that whispers, "I will no longer abandon myself." The kind of courage that sits with your pain instead of running from it. The kind of courage that walks straight into the fire of transformation, knowing that on the other side is a version of you the world has never seen but desperately needs. So I'll leave you with this question. If the fear wasn't there, if you weren't afraid of being too much, too intense, too different, who would you become? And what if that version of you is the very reason you're here? The fire beneath the silence, unleashing the suppressed power of the dark ones within. There's a fire that lives beneath the silence of the dark chosen ones. You feel it, don't you? That untamed, ancient force that pulses beneath your skin, waiting. It doesn't scream. It doesn't rage. It waits. It watches. It coils like a serpent in the base of your spine, like a storm behind your ribs. It knows things you haven't said out loud. It remembers lifetimes you've forgotten. It's the energy that makes you different. But here's the uncomfortable truth: most of us are being taught to suppress it. We've been told it's dangerous, too intense, too unpredictable, too much. And so we silence it, we bury it, we numb it, we pretend we're normal. But that fire never dies. It only grows quiet. And when power is suppressed for too long, it doesn't go away, it turns inward. It becomes anxiety. It becomes overthinking. It becomes depression. It becomes self-sabotage. Because power that is not expressed becomes poison. And the dark chosen ones, we've been drinking that poison for years. We've learned to shrink ourselves in rooms that couldn't hold our truth. We've smiled when we wanted to scream. We've helped others heal while secretly hiding the parts of us that still bleed. And the world applauds us for it. For being strong. For being resilient. For being the one everyone else leans on. But who do we lean on? You see, the fire within us isn't here to destroy. It's here to purify. It's the kind of power that can't be faked, can't be taught, can't be stolen. You either carry it or you don't. And if you're listening to this, chances are you do. But power without awareness is chaos. And power without acceptance is torment. That's why so many of us feel torn, because we sense a greatness within us, but we've never been shown how to hold it, how to direct it, how to trust it. We're afraid that if we let it out, we'll lose control. That will scare people away. That will become too different to be loved. But what if the fire inside you is the very thing that's meant to light the path for others? What if your intensity isn't a curse, it's a compass? What if your rage, your grief, your longing, your knowing are all sacred instruments of transformation waiting to be played? The dark chosen ones are not here to fit in. We are here to ignite, to awaken, to disrupt the numbness that's been passed off as peace, to burn through illusions that have kept others asleep. But to do that, we have to stop running from ourselves. We have to stop apologizing for our depth. We have to sit with the fire and ask it, what do you want me to remember? Because that fire, your inner intelligence, it knows. It knows why you came here. It knows what you're capable of. It knows the timing of your awakening. And it's not random that you've felt out of place in this world. It's not by accident that you've been through pain that most people can't even imagine. That pain wasn't punishment. It was preparation. It was sacred initiation. Every heartbreak, every betrayal, every breakdown, it all brought you closer to the moment you finally say, I am done hiding. But here's the thing, when you begin to let your fire rise, your old life will start to crumble. The people who only liked you because you were small will fall away. The jobs that required you to dim your light will feel unbearable. The habits you used to escape your power, overthinking, pleasing, numbing, they'll start to dissolve. And it will feel like chaos. But it's not chaos. It's construction. It's your real life finally beginning. And in that space, the fire becomes your ally. You stop fearing your own emotions. You stop second-guessing your purpose. You stop begging the world to understand you. Because now you understand you. You see your fire not as something to control, but as something to honor. You recognize that your anger isn't here to destroy, it's here to reveal what you've outgrown. Your sadness isn't weakness, it's wisdom, calling you inward. Your intensity isn't a flaw, it's a frequency. And only those tuned to your level will understand it. So let me ask you something raw and real. What would happen if you stopped apologizing for your fire? What would happen if you stopped trying to be palatable, acceptable, normal, and instead chose to be true? You see, the hidden fear isn't just about being powerful. It's about what we'll have to leave behind if we claim that power. The friends, the roles, the masks, the false comfort. But what we gain in return, that's something no one can give us. It's self-respect. It's soul alignment. It's the ability to walk into any room, any situation, and radiate truth without shrinking. It's the freedom to be fully, unapologetically you. The world doesn't need more people pretending to be light. It needs more people who've walked through their own darkness and emerged with wisdom in their eyes and fire in their hearts. That's you. That's us. That's what the dark chosen ones are here for. The sacred rebellion, breaking the inner chains that keep power dormant. Every chosen one eventually reaches a threshold, a moment where the inner pressure becomes unbearable, a moment where staying silent feels like slow death. That moment is sacred. It is not a breakdown, it is a rebellion of the soul against everything false that was built over it. And for dark chosen ones, this rebellion is not loud in the way the world recognizes. It isn't about shouting or storming the gates. It's about sitting in stillness while your entire identity unravels. It's about finally seeing the chains you've worn for so long, chains of shame, fear, self-doubt, and realizing they were never yours to begin with. They were inherited, imposed, crafted by a world that feared your depth. The sacred rebellion begins when you decide to stop betraying yourself, when you realize that fitting in has cost you too much, that your silence has become a prison, that your attempts to be accepted have only made you invisible. That's when the fire becomes a roar. That's when the soul begins to claw its way back to the surface. And it hurts. Don't let anyone lie to you, it hurts. Because when you've built an entire life around who you thought you had to be, tearing it down feels like dying. But it's not death. It's a shedding, a molting, a sacred unraveling. And what's being revealed underneath is the real you, the raw, wild, unapologetic force of nature you've always been. The chains that keep your power dormant are not outside of you. They're internal. They are the voices that say you're too much. No one will understand you. If you show your truth, you'll be abandoned. And here's the thing, those voices were never your own. They were installed. by culture, by family, by a society that teaches conformity over authenticity, and yet we internalize them. We make them our inner laws. But here's the truth, it's time to overthrow those laws. You are not here to obey a system that was built to tame you. You are here to dismantle it, not just with your words, but with your being. The sacred rebellion requires truth, brutal, unfiltered truth. You must be willing to look at the life you built and ask, did I build this from fear or from freedom? Is this who I am or who I thought I had to be? Am I living my soul's truth or just surviving someone else's expectations? These questions are not easy. They will shatter illusions. They will expose everything that is false. But they will also liberate you. Because the moment you stop lying to yourself, the chains begin to dissolve. Not all at once, sometimes link by link, but the loosening begins. And here's the paradox. You don't become powerful by becoming someone new. You become powerful by remembering who you were before the world told you who to be, before the conditioning, before the trauma, before the performance. Underneath all of that is a force so potent, so magnetic, so real that once you tap into it, nothing can touch you. Not rejection, not judgment, not fear. Because once you know who you are, you stop asking for permission to exist. This is not about becoming fearless. It's about choosing truth despite fear. It's about feeling the tremble in your voice and speaking anyway. It's about walking away from what no longer serves you, even if it means being alone for a while. It's about burning bridges that only ever led to your own disempowerment. It's about walking into the unknown not with certainty, but with sovereignty. Because the sacred rebellion is not about chaos, it's about clarity. It's about reclaiming the throne within you that you abandoned long ago. And you know what happens when you do this? You start to feel clean inside, not perfect, not polished, but clean, honest, whole. You stop carrying the weight of pretending. You stop negotiating your worth in rooms that drain you. You stop explaining yourself to people who were never meant to understand. You begin to radiate something different, a quiet intensity, a grounded fire, and others feel it. They may not know what it is, but they'll feel it. Because when someone has broken their inner chains, they become a mirror for everyone still bound. You become a living reminder that freedom is possible. So let me ask you gently but directly, what are the chains you're still clinging to? What fear still whispers that it's safer to stay small? What lie have you called truth for too long? And if you let those chains fall, if you let the rebellion begin not for attention, not for revenge, but for awakening, who might you finally become? Because the world doesn't need more followers, it needs more rebels of the soul, more warriors of truth, more dark chosen ones who are no longer afraid of their own fire. The return of the ancient ones, reclaiming the soul mission hidden in your shadow. There comes a moment, after the silence has been broken, after the fire has risen, after the chains have shattered, when something ancient begins to stir within you. It's not new. It's not born from this lifetime. It's a memory older than your name, older than your bloodline. It's the soul mission you carried into this world, hidden beneath the shadow of your forgetting. And now, as the false layers fall away, that mission begins to re-emerge, not as a concept, not as a dream, but as a knowing, a sacred summons from the deepest part of you, the part that never forgot, even when you did. You see, the dark chosen ones are not just here to heal themselves. They are here to restore something forgotten in the collective, something sacred, something powerful. We are the bridge between worlds, the light and the shadow, the seen and the unseen, the old and the new. We carry codes within us, frequencies that this world desperately needs but doesn't yet understand. And that's why we've been tested, why we've been exiled, misunderstood, silenced. Because when you carry ancient energy, You will always seem threatening to systems built on illusion. But here's the truth that can no longer be denied. Your pain was never pointless. Your darkness was never a flaw. It was a container, a cocoon, a crucible. It was preparing you to carry the weight of your real work, the work that goes beyond careers or titles, the work that is encoded in your soul. Some of you are meant to awaken others just by your presence. Some of you are here to break generational curses. Some of you are here to speak truths that shift timelines. Some of you are here to write, to create, to guide, to witness, to love in ways that heal realities. You didn't come here to play small. You didn't incarnate into this world to stay hidden. You came to remember who you are and to live as that remembrance, fully, boldly, softly, powerfully, not because it's easy, but because it's real. And that's what the world is starving for. Not more noise, not more performance, but realness, integrity, embodied wisdom. That is the legacy of the ancient ones, and it lives in you. The shadow was never the enemy. It was the gate. It was where your gifts were buried, waiting for you to be brave enough to dig. And now you've seen it, you've faced it, you've begun to reclaim yourself. So what comes next? You walk it, you embody it. You stop waiting for permission, you stop seeking validation. You begin to live your mission moment by moment, not by trying to be perfect, but by being present. You begin to lead not with your ego, but with your essence, and people will feel it. They'll be drawn to you or repelled by you, but either way, they'll be moved. Because when a dark chosen one returns to their truth, the world shifts around them. So I ask you one last time, what if you stopped running from your depth and started living from it? What if everything you've ever been through was not a detour, but a design? And what if this right now is the moment your soul has been waiting for? The ancient ones are returning, not as saviors but as sovereigns, not to dominate but to awaken, not to impress but to embody. And you are one of them. Welcome back. The world has been waiting for you.